Alright, back like we never left because we never did leave. You got your boy Love on the Hate One and your boy Gil is in the building. And we back at y'all with another radio call. You guys already know we finna cook. And we finna talk about this whole Sebastian Fundora versus Keith Thurman, man. A fight that's coming up. And I don't feel like Keith Thurman's gonna pull out, another time. This fight is actually gonna happen. When it comes down to Keith Thurman, you really don't want to talk about his fights until until at least the weigh-in goes down. And sometimes you're not even safe at the weigh-in. So with that being said, just a little quick prediction, with me and Gil, and we're gonna touch on it. Let's see. Okay, and this fight right here is tricky. Okay, because you got a guy named Sebastian Fundora who has completely rejuvenated his career, man. I remember once upon a time, it looked like Sebastian Fundora was going downhill. I'm talking about, getting stopped by Mendoza and then almost getting stopped by Lubin. But then you fought, Tim Tszyu. A lot of people had you losing that fight, until the cut happened. But shit, you came in a rematch and you made the boy quit. So beating Tim Tszyu twice, I feel like that's a big deal to me. And Fundora, he's just looking dangerous right now because he's stopping guys now. At first it was like he was more, just boxing with it. It's like Fundora is like, shit, I can box with you and I can bang with you. What's popping? That's his mentality. So, but even though that's a good thing, it's kind of tricky when it comes down to Keith Thurman, because I feel like with Keith Thurman, you really want to be a boxer with Keith Thurman, okay? Keith Thurman is going to have so much trouble with Fundora, but I do feel like Keith Thurman can hurt Fundora, okay? I don't feel like, a lot of people feel like Keith Thurman's power has diminished. I do not feel that way. I feel like with the injuries and stuff that Keith Thurman was going through, I feel like, that's why he stopped knocking guys out like that. But Sean Porter got hurt by Keith Thurman. Danny Garcia got hurt, especially in that first round, by Keith Thurman. Sean Porter, he's still hurting guys, and he just got a knockout in the first round of his last fight. So I'm letting you guys know Keith Thurman still has that power. Now, Sebastian Fundora, man, I don't remember the last time it was so hard for me to pick a fighter. But I'm going for the upset here, you guys. And I'm curious to know your thoughts. I'm going for the upset here, you guys. I'm going with Keith Thurman. I think if Keith Thurman, man, this is going to be hard. But I feel like Keith Thurman, if he can rewind the clock and he's injury-free in this fight, I feel like he's going to win the fight. And I know what I'm going against, you guys, but I just feel like Keith Thurman, man, if he fights the perfect fight, he could beat Sebastian Fundora. Let's not forget, you guys, Sebastian Fundora, yes, he's been beating guys, but he hasn't been beating no very, very good boxers like that. You guys, Keith Thurman is a phenomenal boxer when he wants to box. You guys have to understand, okay, we all know it, man. Keith Thurman he don't show up for all the fights. We all know he's susceptible to body shots. Shit, Sebastian Fundora, we know his game plan is not to go downstairs on Keith Thurman like that. So I feel like he's pretty, I can say all the way safe, but it's going to be hard for Sebastian Fundora's tall ass to be bending down all fucking night throwing body punches, you guys. So I think, and Keith Thurman knows this. I feel like Keith Thurman has what it takes to stop Fundora. If not, drop him for sure. But I'm going with Keith Thurman. I know, shit, a lot of people think I'm crazy for saying this, but yes, I got the underdog Keith Thurman in this fight. I feel like he's gonna shock the world. What's your thoughts on it, Gil?
I think Fundora's gonna box his head off, bro.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna have him at a distance, keep using that jab and just shooting combinations off of that jab, to be honest with you. And then you forget, Fundora likes to be on the inside. It's not his first time that he does it. He'll fight you on the inside, and I think if he does that with Thurman, I think he could knock him out with a uppercut, to be honest with you. The thing I worry about with Thurman is his inactivity. He's been out of the ring for a long while. I know he fought couple months ago. It was an easy fight, so can't really count that one. It was so easy. So you kind of have to take him into the deep waters and see where he's at with it. To be real, because he's been inactive for a long period of time.
Well, see, the thing with Keith Thurman, yeah, he's been inactive, but the things that you just said, okay, fighting on the inside, Keith Thurman has very good foot speed when he wants to get out of danger and shit like that. So I don't feel like he'll be fighting on the inside with Sebastian Fundora. You are right about that. With Fundora, he is a good inside fighter, but if he just throws boxing out the window and fights on the inside with Keith Thurman, that's why I feel like he's going to have some trouble at, because Keith Thurman is just going to use his foot speed, and he has good conditioning too.
But I think.
But I can't see him box his head off like you said. But he would have to stay on the outside with that.
Well, that's what I think is going to happen, because he needs to get on the inside. I think Fundora is going to be using combinations off of his jab. I think he knows how to use his size now, because before he was always trying to fight on the inside before Mendoza, and after he started using his boxing acumen, using his size, using the combinations, using the jab to be able to box. You know. Wow. So I think he's got more confidence now, and I think he's more able to use his size, use his abilities to be able to do something, and that's why I'm kind of going with Fundora in this one. But I can also see what you're saying, because we know what one Thurman is able to do, but at the same time he hasn't done it in a long while, so we don't know where he's at physically. So that's where it becomes kind of an interesting fight for me to see where everybody's at.
Well, that's true too, Gil. I will say that. I ain't got no problem with saying that, you know, and that's why I said it before I made my prediction. You know, if he's injury free and, you know, if he can rewind the clock and show us that he's still one-time Keith Thurman, I feel like he's going to win the fight. But, you know, when you say, don't get me wrong, we all know that boy Fundora, he got a very good jab, knows how to use his height. You know, I could see that type of style frustrating the living dog shit out of Keith Thurman. But the one thing about Keith Thurman is, like, he is a good boxer and stuff like that with power. So I want to know how we haven't really seen Sebastian Fundora beat that has a type of style like Keith Thurman.
Well,
now,
let's put it this way.
Go ahead.
Thurman has had shoulder injury, right?
Yeah.
How do you know he's quite, the same guy he was when he started? You know, so
that's can I ask you a question? Go ahead. That's real, but look, okay, maybe I'm sold. We all know Thurman's a good talker and all that shit. Keith Thurman said he swear he's injury free and all this shit, and I personally feel like Keith Thurman, he's so egotistical. I don't feel like he will allow himself to come into this type of fight on this magnitude if he's not 100%. I feel like Keith Thurman will rather pull out the fight again if he has some type of shoulder injury. That's just me, though.
Let's be honest. If you know that he's had shoulder injuries, if you're his coach, wouldn't you be telling Fundora, go after the shoulder, shoot at the shoulder? I want to see where he's at with it, right? So that's what my game plan would be. Shoot that jab directly to that shoulder, fucking hurt him, you know, and then go to the body, and then use the jab. You work off of it. You want to minimize your opponent's ability to do what he wants to do. So that's when you start using your game plan to figure it out.
Shit, this shit gonna be interesting, because it's kind of like I can see it could be like a Tom and Jerry type of fight. And when I say Tom and Jerry, I don't mean boring, really. I just mean it's like, damn, how the fuck? It's like, fuck, if Fundora, if he stays disciplined, like you say, right, and he just fight him on the outside, it's going to be interesting to see, you know, how Keith Thurman is going to get in. I know he has the foot speed to get in, but I think Fundora has enough respectable power to get that motherfucker off of him. You know what I'm saying? When he does try to jump in.
The thing that worries me about Fundora, bro, he starts getting brave, and then he'll get caught.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you got to stick with the game plan. Use the jab, work off of it. That's all it is.
Yeah, I think. What ethnicity is Fundora? He's not Mexican, is he?
Isn't he Honduran?
I think he is. I know. Yeah, I gotta check though, but I know for sure that
I'll put it this way:
that Mexican comes out. It comes out when sometimes.
He's half.
Oh,
he's gonna have him in Honduran, I think.
Oh, okay. So I was gonna say that Mexican comes out when he feels, it comes out sometimes, and he just be like, "Fuck it," he wants to fight. But I feel like in this fight, if he stays disciplined, I think he probably would just outbox his ears off. But it's just something tells me that, and like I said, Thurman been doing a lot of talking. He is a good talker. He does have the gift of gab. So